Okay. For taxpayers who are professionals, single proprietors, um, the estate, trust, or those who are compensation earner will use 1701 um, for filing their annual income tax return. Why compensation earner? Because there are taxpayers who are both compensation earners, meaning an employee, and at the same time they have um, businesses or they practice their profession on the side. Why did it say fighting? I said filing. Crazy. Anyway, let's continue. So um, let's go back to the main screen. First, we save this, and then let's go back to the mainstream. So the main screen, so that you know where to start. For individual taxpayers, we are Form 1701 version 2018. So because I've already filled out my and paid my annual income tax return, so we have to create another one. So for illustration purposes only, I don't submit this. So what does this mean for individuals? Unless you register your business or you select a fiscal year as your accounting period, you will choose December. Fiscal year meaning all the other months except December. So that as for me, I have selected calendar year when I registered in the bureau, and this is for the year 2021. The due date would be April 15, but since April 15 is falls on a Good Friday, then it would be on the 18th, which is a Monday. Supposing that I've already submitted, so this should have been yes, but for illustration purposes, we select no. Supposing that this is your first time to fill this out. Number three, is this a short period return? It's no. A short period return is any financial statement or income tax return for a period of less than 12 months, which is the 12 months is one accounting cycle. And then in number four, this is automatically populated because you have filled out the data in the main screen when you created your information in the EBR forms. The RDO code, this is what is the RDO code of the district where you are registered. So for me, this is Makati, South Makati, I think. The taxpayer type, you have to select whichever applies to you. But as for me, I'm a professional, so I will select this one. As for my friend Bernadette Amaranto, you're a professional. So you select this one. If ever you're also a compensation earner, you tick this box. But if not, then just select one. Um, it is important that you select one here in number 6 and number 7 because the data coming from here will be populated in number 21. So this will be grayed out if you do not select anything here to illustrate. Uh, no, not yet, but later. So for now, we select this and then what kind of income. There are at least 7 radio buttons. So what's applicable to me is income from profession, graduated income tax rates. So what this is graduated income tax rate mean? Graduated income tax simply means that in the income tax table, the rate changes according to the tier. So, for example, up to 250, its income is exempted from paying any income taxes. Over 250 to 400, it's 20% of whatever the amount you would arrive at, and so on. So I would select this one. Why not 8% income tax rate? Uh, those professionals or business person who would select the 8% income tax rate would only be taxed 8% based on their gross sales or gross receipts, so that there would be no need for an itemized deduction. So if you select this one, the 8% is automatically populated and you will not be able to select the graduated rates. So that's the significance. But since you are enrolled or you registered as an ordinary taxpayer not availing of the 8% income tax rate, so you select this one. It's important that you input your birthday. I won't posing. I'm young, but I'm not. And then, yeah, Filipino claiming foreign tax credits. Of course not, because the income I derived from sources within the Philippines. So foreign, not applicable. Your cell phone number. Residual status. This really does not matter uh, under the train law because there is no distinction between the taxpayer type for additional exemption purposes. So whether you select or not, that doesn't matter. But if you are married, then select the appropriate radio button for you. For person, for a married person, if your spouse has an income, you select yes. Ayaw niya pala kasi single pa rin yung sinelect ko dun. So, let's select married. So, if married spouse's income, then you select yes if there is, if your spouse has an income, and no if there is none. So, supposing that there's an income, the filing status would be joint filing or separate filing. Again, these days, this won't be, this, this is not, this doesn't matter. Or what should I say? This doesn't have any impact with regard to who is claiming the additional exemption, because the individual exemption now is up to 250,000. So yes, but separate filing. Income exempt from income tax? No. Special preferential rate? No. So see, in number 21, when we selected the graduated rates here, I think this is automatically populated. And then another important part is in 21A, you have to select itemized deduction when you are using the graduated rates. Mm, Optional standard deduction is um, a method of deducting expenses fixed at 40% from gross sales, receipts, and revenues. So you have to avail of this on in the first quarter for the year, and I think you have to update your COR if you have to avail of this one. The beauty of this is that if you don't have receipts, if your expenses would not reach 40%, then this is a viable option for you to avail of. So This part, number 22 to number 32, is related to the next few pages. In page 2, because you are a taxpayer availing of the graduated income tax rates, and we proceed directly to the portion where we need to fill out. It's in 3A, so supposing that I earned 500,000 this year, this doesn't apply because my work is involved in services. So let's leave it at that. Then we proceed with the allowable deductions and then on to the next page. So supposing I have people under me that I'm paying salaries, 100,000, and the taxes and licenses, what are these? Percentage tax and the annual registration fee. And if you're a business person, you're paying for business licenses, fees, all the municipal or the city permit fees. This is to be logged here. And then I think I have entertainment and amusement. The ceiling of this is for services it's 1%, and for goods it's 0.5% of the gross receipts. So this is 5,000. If I don't have any other expenses to be deducted from here, then we can proceed to find out what would be the total tax due. So if you are a professional and because when you provide services, there would be withholding taxes, which should be deducted uh, from your professional fee when you rendered your services. So this is issued through the form 2307 or the creditable withholding taxes at source. Wait. And then, so the tax due from there is 27,900. How did we come up with 27,900? So let's go back to page 2. What is the taxable income? So the net income is 389,500. The first 250,000 is tax exempt. So you multiply um, the amount in excess of 250,000 is 139,500. You multiply that by 20%. So this mm, the product is 27,900. So that would be the total tax due. Then we deduct whatever withholding taxes which was deducted from your fee. So for example, 5% of, supposing that I earned 375,000 on the first 3 quarters, how much would that be? Or say the 500,000, how much is 5% of 500,000? So for withholding tax purposes, professionals whose income does not reach 3 million would have 5% in withholding tax rate. So if it's 500,000 times 5%, so that would be 25,000. 25,000, wait, I have to check. Accountant nagka-calculator. 25,000. 25,000. 25 times 3 over 4. So that gives us 25,000 times 0.75. So 18,750, and then the remaining is for the fourth quarter that would be 6,250. So the tax credits amount to 25,000. Now the tax due would only be 2,900. So there you go. Sorry, I have to fast toggle the pages. Then in page 4, you have to fill out the net income, which was which was in page 2 in number 23. Yeah. So you just have to fill it out in page 4. So it's 389,500 there. And then if we validate, it says validation successful. Click on edit if you wish to modify your entries. Just click OK. Then I have to edit this one if supposing that I didn't input the net income in this part. When I validate, this error message would appear, so that you just have to go back to page 2, item 11, number 23, and then you input the amount here. If you remember, it's 389,500. We validate again, and then we press no. The submit final copy tab is now available. And if you will submit this one, that's the time that the EBR forms would return an email acknowledging receipt of your submission. But since I've submitted previously, I will not click submit final copy. Um, you can try this yourself when you create your income tax return. So just a reminder that right now, I think it's already in version 7.9. The EBIR forms is already in version 7.9. Uh, what's important to fill out in page 1 is number 30 number 32. You sign here as the taxpayer, and then if this is a tax credit, meaning uh, an overpayment, if the tax credit here exceeds your tax due, and that this would number 32 would render a negative amount, then you have to select whatever method you would pick from, either a refund, a tax credit, or carried over in the next year or quarter. Usually if you're a continuing business, or your profession is you're still in practice, then it's advisable to select here to be carried over as a tax for the next year quarter. To illustrate, supposing that page 4, that the withholding taxes here is, oh, because I've maximized the amount, but supposing that for illustration purposes only, supposing that this is 10,000 erroneously withheld, so you have overpaid 850,000. So if you validate now, 850 pesos. So it will populate this message, and then you have to select either one of the 3 radio buttons. So as I mentioned, you have to select to be carried over to the next quarter. What will happen is that you would just have to um, input this minus 850 in number 4 in other tax credits. So you specify that this is an overpayment in the previous quarter. So that's it. I'll edit my input in page 4 again, so that the net amount would be a tax due in page 1. And then you validate. And then as you go, you submit. After that, the form will return the your designated email. In your designated email, there would be an email from EBR forms. So, for example, here, EBIR. So for me, I'll find 213634044. So when I paid last time, so this is it, 1701 version 2018, and that's the next six digits represent the calendar year or the fiscal year. So this is how it would appear. This is an acknowledgement that you have that the database received your submission. So that's it. I hope you I hope this tutorial is easy enough to understand. I'll stop recording and then